Story: The Wolf Totem, written by Jiang Rong. Summary of the story Wolf Totem, written by Jiang Rong. Jiang Rong's epic story Wolf Totem explores the disappearing customs of the Mongols, past generations of the powerful Mongol armies that once ruled the world. The novel shows the steady decline of Mongol culture and the beloved Mongolian wolf, which those who live there hold in veneration, against the backdrop of a changing environment. The story centers on Chen Zhen, a Chinese student during the Cultural Revolution. He falls in love with the Mongols. As he involves himself in their culture, he discovers their deep ties to the earth and their spiritual respect for the wolf, which is seen as a sign of power and freedom. Chen Zhen observes the simultaneous fall in the wolf population as a result of human disturbance, along with the advent of contemporary thinking and Chinese policies that impact the Mongolian grasslands. The book expertly demonstrates the complex relationship between the two by combining the battle for cultural preservation with the effort to save the endangered wolf species. The book examines the complex relationship between tradition and progress, as well as between man and nature, via vibrant images and moving stories. It's an intense reminder of how connected humans and the natural world are, inspiring reflection on the effects that result from environmental damage and cultural loss. Wolf Totem is a moving reminder of the delicate balance that exists between mankind and the environment and its effects of upsetting it, rather than just a tale about the Mongols or wolves. Chapter 1: The Nomadic Call. A keen Chinese student named Chen Zhen set off on an exciting trip as the sun cast the sky in gold tones. Attracted by stories of the exotic lifestyle of the Mongolian people, he left his native country and traveled far away. When Chen Zhen arrived in the expansive fields, he was filled with excitement. He came upon the kind and gregarious Mongols, who lived together well with the environment. Chen Zhen hasn't seen anything like their bond with the earth and its grazing animals. The story of the Mongolian wolf, respected as a symbol of strength and wisdom, stood out among their songs and stories. The great reverence the Mongols had for these beautiful animals, thinking them as sacred guards of their culture. Chen Zhen, full of interest, took in everything around him, including the sweeping plains, a nomadic life of life, and the puzzling relationship between the Mongols and the wolves. He had no idea that this trip would be the start of an amazing journey that would reveal the secrets of a going-away yet growing world. Chen Zhen was told old tales and traditions by the Mongols during their meetings around boiling fires under the starry sky. Their strong ties to the region they walked and their lengthy oral history, passed down through the centuries, surprised him. Every story emphasized a deep harmony between people, the natural world, and the enigmatic wolves that prowled across the prairies, leaving Chen Zhen captivated and hungry to learn more about this unique society. Chapter 2: The Sacred Bond. Chen Zhen's study of the core of Mongolian society demonstrated the holy relationship between the wolves and the people in amazing detail. He saw the respect the Mongols had for these animals, viewing them as more than just animals but also as spiritual partners during their time of travel. The nomads had a pattern of respect and admiration constructed between them and the Mongolian wolf. Chen Zhen heard their stories, watched their ceremony, and saw how tightly woven the wolves were into Mongolian society. They were more than just local animals. They were highly respected representatives of power and independence, the very soul of the desert. Chen Zhen, under the guidance of the Mongols, observed firsthand the rites and celebrations related to these wonderful animals. Every action and ritual had deep meaning, forming a complex network of values and practices that elevated wolves to a sanctified position. The enduring tie between humans and the natural environment was seen in the bond between the wolves and the Mongols, even in the midst of the vast and unregulated countryside. Chen Zhen was drawn more into the unsolved story of the Mongolian wolf during this time of connection with the natural world. The stories that showed these animals as defenders of the past rather than just as predators surprised him. The tales of the nomads described the wolves' devotion and knowledge, their howls reverberating through the ages, carrying the spirit of an age rooted in the wide of the grasslands. Chen Zhen was in awe of this holy relationship at every turn, feeling an unusual kinship with the humans and the spirit animals they loved. Chapter 3: A Changing Horizon. Chen Zhen saw a slow change in the sky as the days passed on the grasslands of Mongolia. The once unspoiled landscapes were being swept by winds of change. The peace that had once surrounded the existence of travelers now trembled with the approaching impact of society. The sounds of a changing world grew closer and more apparent. Mongol ways of life were affected by Chinese laws and social changes that even went to the farthest grasslands. Chen Zhen felt the tension burning beneath the surface as she observed tradition and progress conflict. The holy relationship between the Mongols and the wolves is under danger as time goes on due to ongoing changes. The nomads' peaceful existence was in danger from outside influences, which put their relationship with the land in danger. When Chen Zhen saw the first signs of disturbance, she grew worried about the weak balancing that had supported this antique way of life. Chen struggled with the complexity of this changing world in the midst of these shifting landscapes. He observed the difficulties that the Mongols experienced as they tried to balance conserving their customs of culture with adjusting to the needs of a society that was undergoing constant change. With modernity's constant march promising to destroy the very core of the nomadic lifestyle and the cherished wolves that had been linked from their way of life, the once unbroken relationship with nature seemed precarious. Amidst these changes, Chen Zhen observed an increasing need to conserve the land and its people's goodness, as well as its decreasing customs or ages. Chapter 4: Bonds Strengthened and Tested. Chen Zhen discovered that he was deeply entwined into the fabric of the wild lifestyle when the winds of change blew across the grasslands of Mongolia. His relationship with the Mongols grew stronger, and he earned their respect and acceptance. Chen Zhen, interested in what they did every day, took in the complexities of Mongol life and grew to appreciate their relationship with the natural world. With stories of their unshakable kinship with the wolves, the wanderers shared their joys and sorrows and helped Chen Zhen to understand the priceless connection even more. But when external demands increased, the foundation of this peaceful existence started to deteriorate. Chen Zhen saw personally how the Mongols succeeded in maintaining their traditions in the face of a world that was changing quickly. Their way of life was under danger from the wolf population fall, which put their customs and faith to the test. However, Chen Zhen saw that a strong resolve was growing among the Mongols in spite of these hardships. Their determination to preserve their legacy and defend the wolves that remained grew stronger, demonstrating a spirit not ready to give in to the approaching dangers that faced their precious grasslands. During these challenges, Chen Zhen discovered that he was not just a spectator but also a part of the Mongols' battle. As he stood with them and got to know all aspects of their tenacity and unwavering spirit, his respect for their way of life grew into admiration. Upon observing how they attempted to uphold their cultural identity in the face of hardship, Chen Zhen was increasingly determined to uphold and preserve the Mongols' vanishing legacy and their sacred relationship with wolves. Chapter 5: Cultural Clash. The Mongolian grasslands saw an increase in the conflict between tradition and upgrades, which cast a pall over the nomadic way of life. Chen Zhen discovered himself in the middle of a stormy terrain where the sounds of cultural strife echoed. As the Mongols struggled with the effect of a world that was changing quickly and the intrusion of Chinese policies, tensions increased. Chen Zhen felt the actual pressure this conflict placed on the travelers as he saw the battle between keeping the past and conforming to the needs of a changing civilization. Chen Zhen was caught between his love of his Chinese heritage and his respect for Mongol customs during this turbulent period of cultural change. He was moved to think about the unavoidable shifts that were taking place in front of him as he saw the increasing pressure on the nomads to conform and felt the weight of competing ideas that could damage the unique fabric of Mongolian culture. Chen Zhen navigated a maze of opposing emotions despite this clash of cultures. He battled with issues of identification and belonging, divided as much by his familiarity with his Chinese background as by his passion for the old customs of the Mongols. He understood the deep effects of this conflict for not just the nomads but also for his own feeling of self and belonging among the whirl currents of cultural changes as the gap grew and the pull of two worlds pulled at his emotions. Chapter 6: The Disappearing Howls. The Mongolian grasslands were covered in a dark cloud as Chen Zhen saw the end of an awful chapter in the history of the nation. The downfall of the beloved Mongolian wolf. The howls that had once filled the night were fewer and further between, leaving an unsettling compound in their wake. Chen Zhen acknowledged the adverse impacts of human activity on the wolf population and the fragile environment with a heavy heart. He saw the results of the attack, with wolves' existence growing more dangerous as the environment decreased. Even with the nomads' heroic efforts to protect these magnificent animals, Chen Zhen struggled with the painful knowledge that the wolves, the fictitious symbol of Mongolian culture, was disappearing, their decreasing numbers a reflection of the irreversible changes sweeping through the grasslands. The need to save the remaining wolves became more pressing in this chapter of decline, reflecting the difficult situation of a society trying to hold onto its fundamental values in the face of certain changes. Chen Zhen experienced a crushing sense of loss in the face of this tragic decline. The wolves faced an uncertain future despite once being adored as guardians of an everlasting culture. Every shout gone unheard was a mournful cry for the dying customs and the complex relationship of the migrants and their beloved country. Seeing the wolves' disappearing presence served as a sharp reminder of the priceless legacy that was being lost, leading Chen Zhen to ponder how urgent it is to preserve not only a species but also a cultural legacy that is inseparable from to the core of the Mongolian grasslands. Chapter 7. Struggles and Sacrifices. The Mongolian nomads remained in the face of overwhelming difficulties. Their determination served as a light in the midst of hardship. Their constant commitment to maintaining their losing history was apparent to Chen Zhen, demonstrating their strong nature. The nomads' sufferings were evident as they gave up all to preserve their customs. Battles against increasing modernity, decreasing resources, and the continuous extinction of the revered wolves were among the hardships that greeted them every day. But the Mongols persisted in their will to preserve their cultural identity in the face of hardship. Their steadfast faith humbled Chen Zhen. Their sacrifices reflected a deep-seated desire to uphold their traditional customs. Their collective attempts to protect the last few wolves and maintain disappearing customs showed a deep feeling of faith, serving as a moving example of the fortitude of a people trying to maintain their sense of self in the face of global change. In the midst of these hardships, Chen Zhen had a deep respect and sense of kinship with the Mongols. He stood with them, seeing their shared will to preserve their customs and their sacrifices. Inspired by their tenacity to stand united and fight for the defense of their rich cultural past and the valued relationship between the nomads and the disappearing wolves, Chen Zhen discovered that he was more than just an observer as the nomads devoted their lives to preserving their fading way of life. Chapter 8. The Point of No Return. Chen Zhen found himself at a turning moment in history, where the continuous transformation of the Mongolian grasslands and the people who lived there appeared unchangeable. The struggle between progress and tradition reached a breaking point, forever changing the nomadic way of life. The Mongol way of life was forever altered by Chinese laws and social changes, which also created doubt about their long-standing traditions and relationship with the land. As Chen Zhen observed this edge of change, he realized that the changes he was seeing were permanent. A severe image of a culture on a point of an important change was created by the waning shadows of ancestral chants and the wolves' decreasing presence. The nomads had difficulty with the permanent loss of their heritage in this important chapter, establishing a route where tradition and modernity collided head-on. This experience had a lasting effect on Chen Zhen's understanding of the delicate relationship between progress and heritage, as well as the nomads themselves. As Chen Zhen observed this edge of change, he understood that the changes he was seeing were eternal. A severe image of a culture on the verge of an important change was created by the waning echoes of traditional songs and the wolves' shrinking presence. The nomads struggled with the permanent demise of their heritage in this crucial chapter, settling a route where tradition and modernity hit head-on. This experience had a lasting effect on Chen Zhen's understanding of the delicate relationship between progress and heritage, as well as the nomads themselves. Chen Zhen could feel the pressure of time and history pressing down on the Mongolian plains at the time. The nomads were hurt yet strong as they struggled to get used to the huge change in their way of life in the face of the permanent changes. Chen Zhen witnessed the painful understanding that the Mongols' cherished past and their sacred bond with wolves were about to go through a final shift as the fabric of their traditions began to unravel. This awakening left a lasting mark on his spirit and is proof of the fixed force of change in forming cultures and the moving reflections it inspires. Chapter 9. Reflections and Regrets. After experiencing profound confusion, Chen Zhen found comfort in quiet periods of reflection in the grasslands of Mongolia. Change was reverberating throughout the countryside, prompting dark reflections and heartbreaking discoveries. Chen Zhen was struck, as he felt the weight of the dying customs, by the deep effects of being human on the once harmonious structure of Mongol existence. The sad sounds of forever loss danced across the grasslands, conveying a sense of loss for an oral history that was vanishing. Chen Zhen struggled with the far-reaching effects of cultural changes and pollution during these reflecting periods. The emotional reminder of the connection between environment and humans, as well as the serious effects of culture ruining on a people's soul, has been expressed in the sad comments. Chen Zhen struggled with the lasting gap left by the decreasing leftovers of a once vibrant culture amid regrets and contemplation. Chen Zhen encountered an array of feelings within the fabric of reflection. His heart was heavy with unsaid sadness, regretting the passing songs of a once thriving civilization. But amid the regrets, there was also a glimpse of resilience, a commitment to preserve or honor the core of Mongolian tradition, a tribute to the enduring history of a civilization that challenges time and change. Each sad prayer inspired in Chen Zhen a resolve to protect the customs, memories, and spiritual connection with the wolf. Chapter 10: Legacy and Hope. With the history of the Mongolian steppes drawing to a close, Chen Zhen saw first the lasting impact attached into the fabric of dying customs and strong souls. Items from the pastoral past survived throughout the ups and downs of transition, showing the durability of a firmly earthbound civilization. Despite being brought down by the winds of change, these wanderers continued to kindle a spark of hope in the decreasing light, resolute to hold on to the very foundation of their culture. At the end of this chapter, Chen Zhen left with memories and a firm will to preserve the legacy of the Mongolian people. It was a sad farewell, a beacon of hope amid the shifting sands of time. The echoes of their stories, the wisdom of their customs, and the spirit of their connection with the wolf were created in his soul. Chen Zhen took up the light of memory as he said goodbye to the grasslands. He contained a deep hope that the Mongols' sacred relationship with the wolves and their lasting legacy would endure in spite of the challenges of change, paving the way for future generations to preserve and cherish their loved legacy. Chen Zhen stood in the last moments of the Mongolian countryside, filled with a deep sense of appreciation and respect. He found comfort in the nomads' unshakable fortitude in the face of a dying culture. Their legacy of bravery and connection with the natural world endured beyond the test of time. A twinkle of hope persisted as he turned to leave, that the resolute nature of the Mongolian people, their rooted customs, and their sacred relationship with the wolves would endure and leave a lasting imprint on human memory, favoring younger people to value the profound harmony that exists between humans and the natural world. Chen Zhen continues this priceless tradition with a heart full of appreciation, a witness to the lasting impact left. Key learnings. Wolf Totem illustrates the complex connection between culture, environment, and the human spirit while creating a tapestry of precious lessons. The storyline of the book stresses the fragile balance between tradition and progress through Chen Zhen's trek through the Mongolian plains. It reflects the disturbing reminder that cultures like the highly valued way of life in Mongolia are dynamic and subject to external forces of change rather than static entities. The story encourages thoughtful reflection on the effects of cultural dissolving in the face of unrelenting modernization, raising a keen awareness of the delicate balance between saving tradition and adjusting to changing reality. The narrative additionally offers an excellent demonstration of the natural connection that humans have with the natural world. It highlights the critical importance of maintaining the delicate balance between humans and environment by shining attention on the major impacts of human interventions on species and ecosystems. Wolf Totem resounds as a plea to protect and defend not just cultural heritage, but also the holiness of our planet, encouraging greater awareness of the complex relationship between our actions and the upkeep of our common environment.